Teacher slips note in boy's lunchbox, the next day gets fired. She grabbed her son's lunchbox from his bag and opened it. She saw the note she had written him that morning, but it was different than she remembered. It turned her world upside down. There were two notes, one was hers. But there was another that she hadn't written. After reading the note she couldn't believe that someone had the audacity to do this to her son. Francesca eased and wanted the best for her son, but it wasn't always that easy being a single mother to a 5-year-old. But recently Kyler had some strange habits. Kyler first stopped eating his greens, but he then stopped eating more and more things. But she couldn't let him be picky when he was picking up unhealthy weight. Francesca wanted her toddler to eat healthier things. But the more she tried the more he resisted. He hated seeing the healthy food returned uneaten at the end of a school day. She even tried bribing him, but it just didn't work. She needed another plan. She thought that maybe a compromise could be found. She decided the best way for this would be to keep his unhealthy food in his lunchbox but slowly replace it over time with healthier options. His daycare, Rocking Horse Kingwood, was made aware of his new habits. She wanted them to understand what she was going through. They seemed understanding, but not everything was as it seemed. So her plan was put into motion and she started putting healthier snacks into his lunchbox. It was going pretty well, and she even decided to write little notes telling him how good he was doing. But she knew the hardest was still to come. She took away his Twinkies and instead put in carrots and egg salads. He was making really good progress, but one teacher had other ideas in mind. One night, Francesca was packing her son's lunch, as usual. She tried to make the contents of her son's lunchbox look colorful and appetizing. She added cherry tomatoes, a whole grain ham sandwich, and some apple slices. Then, she paused. It was the middle of the week after all, and Kyler had been doing so well. It wouldn't hurt to slip in a little treat. Or so she thought. Please tell Kyler that his mommy loves him so much and I'm thinking about him, she wrote on the note, intending for the teacher to read it aloud for him at lunchtime. It wasn't an unusual request. And who could have ever imagined that a loving little note for a little boy would elicit such venom from one spiteful woman. Later that evening, Kyler was less talkative than usual. Francesca didn't think too much of it at first. She could never have guessed that the innocent and loving note she had sent with him would have gotten a rude response like this. When she opened his lunchbox, she saw the audacious accusation there, written in thick black Sharpie. At first, she couldn't believe it. Francesca read and reread the note rudely scribbled underneath hers until it finally sank in. Her emotions took her on a rollercoaster ride of incredulity, sadness, and humiliation. She gritted her teeth as the anger washed over her. She grew dangerously calm as she plotted the way forward. This teacher needed to be taught a lesson. Who was she to make a little boy feel like this? Francesca took a photo of the horrendously offensive note and posted it on Facebook. From there, it quickly gained traction. Parents in her community, and even worldwide, began to express their disgust, and they aimed all their anger at Rocking Horse Kingwood Elementary School. Could the daycare recover from such backlash? Francesca knew it wasn't enough. So, she began to do some digging of her own. The note that the teacher had written underneath hers simply read, "No. Put him on a diet and go away." Not only was this a flat-out refusal to relay the contents of the message she had so lovingly written to her son, but it was also getting personal about his weight. Now, Francesca was usually a mild-mannered woman who minded her own business, but this woman had awoken a mama bear. Francesca logged onto Facebook and quickly found the spiteful woman's profile. She rubbed her hands in glee when she found it wide open. She hoped to find some dirt on the venomous daycare teacher, but instead she had found a goldmine. She went through post after incriminating post on the teacher's feed. Now, she had the ammunition to take her down. Meanwhile, her Facebook post had garnered almost 1,000 shares and over 2,000 reactions and comments. People couldn't believe that a teacher could have been so immature and spiteful. Most users were quick to point out that the note was nothing less than blatant body shaming of a 5-year-old. But what evidence had Francesca found during her own investigation? On the teacher's personal Facebook account, Francesca found posts that included drug use and other inappropriate content. Armed with her anger and unique insight into the teacher's true character, she arranged a meeting with the director of the daycare. She wouldn't rest until the woman was made accountable for her actions. But would she win? After the meeting, Francesca posted an update to her Facebook post that informed her followers of the outcome. "I was assured that it was being investigated and handled, yet almost no remorse was shown. I also brought to their attention the fact that on his teacher's public Facebook page there were mass posts regarding drug use and other very inappropriate content," she wrote. The teacher that wrote this note confessed, "Well, I was at work and was fired, but nothing has been done about the other situations," Francesca continued. "Zero remorse for their actions. I am disgusted that I put my trust in these people to care for my child and this is what I get in return. I have removed Kyler from this daycare and am enrolling him in a beautiful new facility. For the other users who didn't know what Francesca had been going through, she shared a little backstory. We have been working with Kyler on his eating, he's extremely picky. I have been introducing new healthy options in his lunchbox and discussed the changes with his school. And for the record, I feel that Kyler is absolutely perfect the way he is, I'm just helping him make healthier choices. Instead of his school being supportive, I am in absolute shock at what happened. I sent this note in Kyler's lunchbox, thinking that it would make him smile at lunchtime, but instead, I received this in return from one of the teachers. Of course, I was absolutely livid and immediately reached out to the school, Francesca continued. Her fans and followers were elated to hear that the rude teacher had been fired, but they also had other concerns. One user wrote, "I cannot believe a teacher would write something like this. It is appalling. Your son does not even the slightest bit need to be put on a diet. And even if he did, writing a note like that is immature, inappropriate and just ignorant." And another, "I cannot believe someone actually wrote this. I am so sorry that you have gone through this. And I will certainly tell everyone I know about this experience." Francesca ends her post with a warning. "I'm worried about the higher cost, but I will make it work, no matter what I have to do. Kyler's safety and level of care comes first. Sorry for the long post, but I feel it's so important to share this." She continued, "I'm extremely hands-on with my child's care and still didn't see this coming. Monitor your daycares closely and stay away from this facility, they do not deserve the privilege of teaching our children."